Behind me are alive with the sound of music, and not the Austrian Julia Andrews as a nun type of music. No, this is extremely British and written by a native son of this very area. Find out where we are in just a moment on Escape to the Country. Coming up on today's show, I meet a globe-trotting couple who've returned home to set up a B&B business. We hit the nail on the head at one property.
I think this is a really great kitchen. I designed one myself. This is pretty much how I would have set it out.
And the mystery house takes their breath away.
Ah, stunning. Very nice.
Today we're in Worcestershire, and these are the beautiful Malvern Hills, stomping ground of one of our greatest composers, Edward Elgar. He was born, spent most of his life, and indeed is buried in this area. And it was 110 years ago, in June 1901 in London, that his most famous tune from the Pomp and Circumstance marches was given extra words and sung as Land of Hope and Glory. And it's been a favourite at the last night of the proms ever since, and it is, as Elgar himself described it, a tune to knock 'em flat. But this countryside is more than just music. What kind of property is going to make our house hunters today happy? Let's find out. Meet Clive and Carolyn, both of whom left their jobs in finance 3 years ago to escape from the Birmingham rat race and travel the world. Since returning to the UK, they've been renting while looking for their dream property, which hasn't been easy to find.
We so need your help. We've been looking for such a long time in so many places.
So we are beginning to get desperate to find somewhere to settle down. We've been travelling or living out of a suitcase for the last 2.5, 3 years.
We've looked at so many houses. When we started counting them up, it was probably 50.
That's a lot of properties. One thing they have decided on is that they want to set up a new venture when they move.
The business we've identified is that we would like to run a bed and breakfast.
Now's the time for us to actually move somewhere quieter, a bit more space, some land, some gardens, maybe even a few goats and chickens, but that's Carolyn's idea rather than mine. My ideal property would be 4 ensuite letting bedrooms, dining room, kitchen, guest lounge, plus some private accommodation for us.
After travelling the length and breadth of the country, and with an offer on a property in the Cotswolds recently falling through, they've now decided on Worcestershire, where they should get more for their money. They're ready to buy and have given us a very flexible brief and budget for their perfect property.
I think the maximum price for us would be £600,000. Parameters are quite large, so it could be a small 2-bedroom place with a bit of land attached to it, right up to a fully fledged operating business. If you can find us that, you're geniuses.
I'm slightly anxious that it took 2.5 years and over 50 property viewings for Carolyn and Clive to find that beautiful property they love so much and then lost in the Cotswolds. Because we barely have 2.5 days, and we certainly haven't got time for 50 properties. But I think the secret might be a slightly less haphazard search strategy. We're concentrating our search in the scenic Malvern Hills region of Worcestershire, a popular tourist centre, especially for walkers and cyclists. We've got some eye-catching properties for them to see, and as usual I'll be asking them to guess the price of each before I reveal it. And of course there's our mystery house, which could give them a very different perspective on the B&B business. Welcome to Worcestershire.
Thank you.
I think this is probably the only county in the whole of the UK that you haven't scoured for a property, is that right?
Just about, yes.
So you want to be running a B&B. Is this the first time you've done something like this?
It is, yes.
We've stayed in literally hundreds of them, but our travels around the world, but yeah, it's the first time we've actually...
You mentioned that you'd like to do some animal husbandry.
I'd like to try.
Excellent. Well, it's a beautiful part of the country. I can't believe you haven't looked here already. So let's go and find you your dream house.
Good, thank you.
Great. Clive and Carolyn have a maximum budget of £600,000 to finance their dream project. They want 4 bedrooms to use as B&B lets, either ready-made or with space to renovate, a guest dining room and lounge, private accommodation, a kitchen big enough to cook those B&B breakfasts, and some outdoor space for growing vegetables. We start our search close to the county border, just west of the town of Bewdley. We're in the village of Far Forest, which has all the amenities you'll need for country life, including a pub, post office and local stores. Property number 1 is a spacious country cottage, which dates back to the 1860s. This is the property I want to show you. What are your first impressions from outside?
Yeah, I think all the different roof shapes sort of don't really pull it together as much as I'd like to see, but that might be a good thing on the inside. It makes it more interesting.
OK. Well, let's go inside and explore.
OK.
At first glance, the exterior might not be to Carolyn's taste, but I think they'll both be pleasantly surprised by what they find inside. Step inside to your palatial kitchen dining room.
It is palatial, isn't it?
Big, yeah.
It's huge.
So we thought this is going to be a perfect place to have all your guests' breakfast.
The beams are lovely. I think that really adds to the sort of character of the place.
Yeah.
That's a nice sized room. I haven't thought about guests eating in the kitchen before.
There's certainly enough space for either a very large table or maybe 4 separate tables there.
The thing about this house, one of the reasons why we've brought you here, is that it divides very nicely into 2 sections. Let's start with the little annex that I think might be good for you guys.
OK.
Let's see what you think of that.
That sounds good.
It's through here. And through this sort of entrance hall with your own entrance into what we imagined would be your sitting room.
OK, this is a nice size.
Oh, wow.
So there's a huge space with a nice big sort of like reception-y dining hall there, and then a bedroom and ensuite.
A bit more living space than I was expecting for us, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lovely view and it's a nice size, but it doesn't really have much else.
No, but you could add lots to it to make it our own, couldn't we?
Yeah.
There are plenty of guest rooms as well, so let's go and explore it. These guest rooms are conveniently situated off a central hall with its own front door. First, we're starting with the guest lounge. Come in, mind your head, low beam.
Oh, this is nice.
On the other side is an equally big, perhaps a little bigger, dining room. Well, they've got it as a dining room with
super.
doors that go out into the garden. But those 2 rooms offer, I think, really great reception space for your guests.
Yeah, so this is a lovely room.
Ideal guest lounge, isn't it?
There's also a boot room at the back, so walkers can come in and get rid of all their boots.
Yeah.
Let's look at the other relaxing rooms, the bedrooms. The downstairs seems to be just what they're looking for, but how will we fare upstairs?
Oh, gosh.
Here we have what they use as their master bedroom, but it could be a very nice guest room. You've got a huge ensuite through there, and a very good sized room with some storage here.
Yeah, I like this room. It's a surprise to find such a big room upstairs.
Across the hallway there's another good sized room, not quite as big as this one, and then there's a family bathroom that links them, but you could quite easily put a door in to step that down into it, so it became the ensuite to the room across the way.
Good.
So far so good, but the second floor could prove more of a challenge. So this requires a little bit more thinking. This is probably the one area in the house where you could do some remodelling to make it really work for you. Because at the moment you've got 2 bedrooms, one sort of small bedroom and a lot of kind of closet space here, and then another room there which is good sized, beautiful oak floors.
Alternatively, we could use this as living space and use the downstairs more for guest accommodation.
Yeah.
So.
Cunning plan. Yeah. I like your style. Now, the great thing about this property is plenty of space for your goats. Let's go look.
Show me the goat space.
I'm pleased they're seeing the potential in this property and coming up with some interesting ideas for its use. But how will they make the most of the animal-friendly land outside? So as well as the 2 acres of land, you've got 3 stables. So your idea of having equestrian guests would be a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the layout of the land as I see it at the moment, but the road noise is a bit of a problem for me.
It kind of reassures me a little bit in that I thought we were in the middle of nowhere. But if people can get here on a reasonable road, then that's a good thing from a business point of view.
So what's a problem to Clive is a plus for Carolyn. But can they agree on the price? How much do you think it's on the market for?
I would hazard a guess at somewhere around the 500,000 mark.
I was going to say that, but I think, no, perhaps a bit higher. 525.
Well, it's actually on a bit higher still. It's on the market at 545.
Right.
Okay. I think that's a little bit pricey in terms of the total outlay that we would have to make to sort of get it configured for a bed and breakfast.
So our first house is more than they expected at £545,000. But this property could work well for their new business with its 4 bedrooms, good-sized reception rooms for B&B guests with a separate entrance, 2 acres of land with stables for horse lovers, and spacious private accommodation for them. Pull the door to, and we're off to the next one.
Lovely.
Just north of Great Malvern is Malvern Link, an area renowned for its hilly and winding roads. It's also home to a long-standing local business, the Morgan Motor Company, who've been hand-building cars for over 100 years. I've come to meet Charles Morgan, whose pioneering grandfather founded his car business here.
Morning.
Thanks for meeting us. Very good.
Yep.
So this is what I associate with more. I think about this as being a lot of wood in it. Do you still use wood?
We do. If you think of the wood as the meat in a sandwich, so you start off with a very strong, very, very stiff chassis, and then you've got this aluminium bodywork, which is relatively fragile because it's light, and in between you've got the wood, and that acts as the energy absorbing device, if you like. That will withstand an enormous amount of pounding and shock.
The wood used in the car is English ash, all from sustainable sources. Working the wood here is John Garbett, who's been at the factory for an impressive 47 years. So this is the wooden part of the classic?
Yes.
And you make this by hand? You've done all this together?
It's all put together by hand.
This place is a prime example of a local cottage industry that has grown over the years and now makes over 700 cars annually. Well, now I've got a feel of how the car's put together. Let's see how it handles on the open road. It's time to make tracks and return to the house hunt. We're heading to West Malvern, which runs along the slopes of the famous Malvern Hills and allows great views over the border to Herefordshire. It's also the source of several springs and wells. Our second property is a sprawling detached house dating back to the 1800s, which has been run as a B&B for the past 22 years. House number 2. Now, this is a great location because that is the beginning of the Malvern Hills. On the other side is Great Malvern with the theatres and the spa and the hotels. There's about 100 miles of designated walking paths around here. What are your first impressions here?
Well, the road up to the place was really picturesque and some great views on the way, so I'm really pleased with the location.
Should we look inside?
Please?
Yeah, let's...
Well, that's a great response from Carolyn. Let's hope we can build on it once we're inside. This is the dining room, the guest dining room. Come in. Welcome to Clive and Carolyn's bed and breakfast. Hope you enjoy your stay. All the guest facilities at the moment are on one level, and all your living quarters are down below.
Oh, that's quite nice. Perfectly functional.
Functional, serviceable, yeah.
Okay.
Let's quickly have a look at the guest accommodation. On this floor there are 3 bedrooms with ensuite. all good size. This is actually a little lounge area, and then there's a bedroom through there. And then the ensuite there, so it's a sort of little suite of rooms.
Yeah, it's great.
So far, so good. Yeah, they seem a decent size.
Lots of greenery.
Yeah.
I think throughout you would probably, having got to know you a bit, you would probably want to smarten it up. But none of them are so, have to be changed.
No.
No,
So
No,
it's
you
just
could
a
open
question of taste.
tomorrow.
you could open tomorrow easily.
And then all your accommodation is downstairs. I'm really glad they're seeing the advantages this property offers as an up-and-running B&B, and I've got a feeling the kitchen might well put a smile on their face. Down we come into your realm,
The kitchen.
into the kitchen.
Oh, great size.
Oh, it's a nice kitchen.
I like that.
So actually it's two kitchens. You've got a gigantic galley utility room through there.
That's
Yeah, I
quite good.
think this is a really great kitchen, I really do. I could have designed one myself. This is pretty much how I would have set it out.
So the kitchen has really hit the mark. Now let's see if they find their private accommodation as impressive. So through a little suite of rooms that all belong to you, downstairs rooms. This is the sitting room, and then there was a dining room, and then you have your own entrance here as well.
That's more space than
More
we
space, yeah.
expected. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good sized space. Much more than we were hoping for.
So again, it's one level living for you. You have a master bedroom with a nice ensuite. But private quarters aren't the only accommodation on the ground floor. There's a hidden bonus which could really help their business. There's a separate entrance and a fully equipped room for a disabled person, including a lift to go down the steps,
Gosh.
a winch to get you from bed to the bathroom, fully functional disabled bathroom.
Ah, that's really good news.
That is.
Fantastic.
So we offer you lots in terms of the business. One of the things you may have to sacrifice are your goats. I don't mean literally sacrifice. So the garden is very sheltered. Beautiful trees all around. It's nowhere near an acre. Would you like to have a stab at the price?
I think it'll be 585.
I'd have gone a lot less than that.
Okay.
Probably 510.
510. Well, it is on the market for £50 short of £600,000. So it's much more your end than your end, I'm afraid. Within budget at a shade under £600,000, this property meets many of their demands. It's an up-and-running bed and breakfast with 4 to 5 bedrooms. There's a guest dining and lounge area. It has a huge kitchen for B&B breakfasts, and there's spacious private accommodation for them.
There's a lot of property to think about here.
Digest. Let's go and find some restful place. You can digest it at peace.
Let's do
Lovely.
that.
As evening falls on the Malvern Hills, the first day of our property search comes to an end. I'm starting to understand why it took 2.5 years and 50+ properties for Carolyn and Clive to settle on a business that they liked. The first house wasn't really businessy enough, the second house was too businessy. Overriding everything, however, is Carolyn's desire to just unpack her bags and make a home. So the mystery house is going to offer them a home first and foremost, and then a business later. We've travelled south-east of Worcester to the village of Peopleton, just outside the pretty market town of Pershore, on the banks of the River Avon. Our mystery property is a former Victorian school building. It might not look like your typical B&B, but that's exactly why we've brought them here. It's a school from the early 19th century. It's been converted into a beautiful home.
Yeah, it's a great building. Love the windows.
Yeah, fantastic.
The thing is, what we were thinking for the mystery house was we'd give you a beautiful home and pretty much immediately start earning money with rooms.
That would be good. That'd be really good.
Should we look inside?
Well, that's...
Please.
While the outside aspect of the house doesn't shout B&B, There's options inside that could allow for holiday lets as well as being a very good-looking home. Nice hallway.
Yeah.
Come into the kitchen though.
An amazing kitchen.
Oh, it's really nice.
So here's the modern bit. The house has been extended in several directions. The old part there, the kitchen was what's now the hallway, and now the present owner created this sort of modern, very unusual arched kitchen and a range cooker.
Wow.
Brilliant. I think it's great. I really love the semicircular work surface.
You've got space out there into a sort of little sitting area there that gets the evening sun. And then through here you've got a downstairs toilet and then a utility room with all your washing
Oh, that's
stuff.
good. Yeah.
And then a sitting room through there which we are envisaging as your sort of snug.
Okay.
So this will be your domain.
Private part.
It's very quirky, the house has been done to a very high finish. You really wouldn't need to do anything. You could move
No,
in
that's
tomorrow.
important to us actually, is the finishing.
Yeah. So good. Thumbs up for this area?
Yeah, very much.
Excellent.
You can
Very
explore
much
more later,
thumbs
but I
up.
wanted to show you the main living area. The current family living area is easily big enough to imagine its use as a B&B guest lounge. This is what we envisaged as the room for your guests.
Wow. Fantastic.
It is. Lounge and dining room combined, isn't it?
Also here on the ground floor are two very good-looking boutique bedrooms, each with their own ensuite bathroom, which Clive and Carolyn could let out immediately. Now on to the upstairs, which I think they'll find very impressive. Now you can see where the arches went.
Ah, stunning.
And this is being used as the master room because you've got a nice little shower room here, ensuite, very simple.
Oh, yes.
I'm just amazed that they've actually got all this up here.
Fantastic. I'd be really pleased if I got this as a bed and breakfast room.
There's also potential for more guest space in the other two bedrooms, both of which come with beautifully crafted built-in storage and share the use of the family bathroom. Now, either you can just rest easy with your 3 luxury guest rooms, or you could split the bathroom in 2
Yeah, that's an idea.
and make each one an ensuite, or you could just have one as your room and another one as a guest room.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
3 to 5 was our
3 to 5
ideal.
was our target.
They're definitely feeling positive about this property and seeing all its possibilities. I'm hoping the limited garden area won't be a major drawback. Now, inside is picture perfect, but outside, not much space.
Okay.
Thoughts about that?
A bit sad because the house is so nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, but still worth thinking about, I think.
Yeah.
It's certainly a lovely house. I think if we'd designed a place, we'd have probably done it just like that.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, in order to think straight about this house, you need to know the price. So, what do you think its market value is?
It's really hard, but I think I'm going to go for 615.
I think a little bit less than that. I would say 575.
Well, we are in a much more expensive area because we're in commuter belt for Birmingham and close to the Cotswolds. But actually, Clive, you are exactly right.
Wow!
£575,000.
That doesn't happen often, does it?
Yeah. So, well within their budget at £575,000, this property meets nearly every demand that Clive and Carolyn threw at us. 3 ready-to-go guest rooms with the potential for 2 more. It has attractive private accommodation, and there's a huge modern kitchen. Time to think about everything and make some decisions.
Okay.
I think we may have cracked it with the mystery house because it gives them a home, somewhere where Clive can unpack all his pots and pans and cook all his breakfasts, and Carolyn, although she doesn't get the goats, she can run that B&B. But let's find out what they think of all 3 properties. So a moment to collect ourselves and think about the 3 properties we've seen. So spinning back to yesterday when we looked at that first property, what are your thoughts about that now in retrospect?
I thought the house was a really great family home.
Great for dual occupancy. I think it could have been adapted for a B&B with some work, some good land with it, 2 acres. I think what let it down for us was the location for tourism.
Now, the second property was in a great tourist location.
It was a superb location.
I got quite excited by the amount of space inside the property, and it was only afterwards when I started thinking more about how we would use that, it became more difficult to see.
Now, the Mystery House was also a possible B&B. What were your thoughts when you saw what we were offering you?
The first impression was it was a great building and a really exciting building to do a tourist-based business from.
And thoughts about the business side of it?
It needs a bit more research from us, really, to look into the area.
The number of bedrooms and the size of the B&B bedrooms is nicer than anywhere that we have seen of all the 50-plus properties.
Well, that's something we can be proud of.
That goes straight to the top of the list.
So of the 3, is there one that you would sort of go back and visit again or think seriously about sort of proceeding with?
Yeah, I think we would certainly like to go back and have a look at the school. I think it's the sort of place that, had we come across an old school that needed renovation, we would have probably done it in a very, very similar way. So
I really do hope that you make something work, because you've really got the commitment and the vision, and I hope that Worcestershire is the place that you find somewhere. So thank you very much.
And thank you for all your help.
Oh, not at all. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank goodness for the Mystery House. I thought we had lost them halfway through the show today, but strangely, in the end, it was Clive's nesting instinct, his desire for a comfy country lifestyle, that I think won out over Carolyn's more acute business sense, although time will tell. And if you've enjoyed our property frolics here in the British countryside, then do join us next time for more Escape to the Country. Clive and Carolyn have done some research and decided that Worcestershire is not the county for them after all. They've now turned their attention to Wales. Let's hope they finally find what they're looking for there. If you want to escape to the country in Wales, Northern Ireland, England, Scotland, or even further afield to the continent and need our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/be-on-a-show. Those behind me are alive with the sound of music, and not the Austrian Julia Andrews as a nun type of music. No, this is extremely British and written by a native son of this very area. Find out where we are in just a moment on Escape to the Country. Coming up on today's show, I meet a globe-trotting couple who've returned home to set up a B&B business. We hit the nail on the head at one property.
I think this is a really great kitchen. I designed one myself. This is pretty much how I would have set it out.
And the Mystery House takes their breath away.
Ah, stunning.
Oh.
Very nice.
Today we're in Worcestershire, and these are the beautiful Malvern Hills, stomping ground of one of our greatest composers, Edward Elgar. He was born, spent most of his life, and indeed is buried in this area. And it was 110 years ago, in June 1901 in London, that his most famous tune from the Pomp and Circumstance marches was given extra words and sung as Land of Hope and Glory. And it's been a favourite at the last night of the proms ever since, and it is, as Elgar himself described it, a tune to knock 'em flat. But this countryside is more than just music. What kind of property is going to make our house hunters today happy? Let's find out. Meet Clive and Carolyn, both of whom left their jobs in finance 3 years ago to escape from the Birmingham rat race and travel the world. Since returning to the UK, they've been renting while looking for their dream property, which hasn't been easy to find.
We so need your help. We've been looking for such a long time in so many places.
So we are beginning to get desperate to find somewhere to settle down. We've been travelling or living out of a suitcase for the last 2.5, 3 years.
We've looked at so many houses. When we started counting them up, it was probably 50.
That's a lot of properties. One thing they have decided on is that they want to set up a new venture when they move.
The business we've identified is that we would like to run a bed and breakfast.
Now's the time for us to actually move somewhere quieter, a bit more space, some land, some gardens, maybe even a few goats and chickens, but that's Carolyn's idea rather than mine. My ideal property would be 4 ensuite letting bedrooms, dining room, kitchen, guest lounge, plus some private accommodation for us.
After travelling the length and breadth of the country and with an offer on a property in the Cotswolds recently falling through, they've now decided on